Hi, my name is Haas Tavak. I'm real estate agent in Louisville, Kentucky. On this video, I'm trying to explain how to invest in real estate, particularly in rental property. If you have any questions, you can email me on haas.tavak@yahoo.com or call me 502-919-1564. Okay, what's the advantage and disadvantage of investing in real estate? There are some disadvantage compared to like a stock market or other form of investment. Like relatively in real estate, you need to have a large amount of cash to purchase a house. The process is usually longer and is more complicated than other markets. There is no like integrated formal market for real estate, so each city, even each area has his own market based on demography, based on the average of income. A lot of parameters are involved, so there is no like integrated market for real estate. It's so dependable to interest rate. Interest rate can change all equation on your investment when you're investing on real estate. So rental property and real estate investment properties need management. Either you manage it or hire a property manager. It need a management. But other form of investment, they usually are low maintenance and sometimes they don't need any management. On the other hand, real estate properties as an investment, like rental properties, they generate a cash flow and it builds equity on your investment. It's like a constantly generating equity on your real estate. You get a lot of tax benefits when you have a rental property or you invested in real estate. You can enjoy from appreciation of your investment over time, which is one of the main resource of return of your investment. When the value of the properties is appreciated, your investment is growing. There are a lot of leverage opportunities in the market. You can get a loan. There are different type of loans. You can get a loan and buy a piece of property. So you can use the leverage of loan market, mortgage market to invest. Usually inflation, when we are facing inflation in market, real estate is a hedge for inflation. Inflation causes growing value of real estate usually. So if we are facing inflation in economy, real estate would hedge your loss and decrease your risk of investment. You have more control as a person on your own investment. You can control your own investment, sell it, rent it. You pick the numbers mostly. You can decide how you want to control your investment. There are different type of properties that you can invest as a long-term rental. I'm not talking about short-term rental like Airbnbs. I'm talking about long-term rentals. So it's single family, multifamily, and commercial. Single family is a house sitting in a lot with one deed. And these type of rental properties, usually tenants responsible for all utilities and cut the grass, landscaping, garbage pickup, everything. And landlord just responsible for repairs. On multifamilies, which has two type, it's a one building with 4 unit and less than 4 unit, and a building with more than 4 units on it. In either way, landlord usually pays some utilities like water. If there is like a shared meter, it pays for water, garbage pickup, landscaping. So those properties has some extra expenses rather than single family. Okay, so if the multifamily is less than 4 units on it, it can be as a residential when you're getting a loan. it can be treated as a residential property and get like a residential type of the loans. If you're thinking to do like an owner occupied to get a lower down payment, even zero down payment, you can get a duplex, live on one unit and rent out the other one. That goes under these criteria. It's a multifamily with less than 4 units. You can get a residential loan. But if there is more than 4 units in one building or in one deed, that's a commercial. You cannot get a residential loan on that. So you have to get commercial loan, and that's going to be treated as a commercial property. And the last one is a commercial properties, which usually zoned for commercial, and businesses rent those places from you. And businesses can use it as an office, as a retail, a lot of different uses based on the business that they have. Most of the time on commercial properties, every expense is transferred to the tenants. Tenants are responsible for taking care of the property, paying for repairs, even paying property tax, even pay for property insurances. So pretty much on triple net lease, which is common on commercial properties, landlord just enjoys from rent income and has minimum responsibilities on maintenance and all other stuff compared to multifamily and single family. There are pros and cons on these type of properties. If you have any questions on that, you can call me or email me. Okay, let's see how you will earn from investing on real estate, and basically where your return of investments comes from. So there are 2 points that you earning. First, appreciation based on the statistic of Federal Reserve. Overall, the value of real estate is growing over year. For example, if you hold a property for 3 to 6 years, it's going to appreciate about 22%. That's reality. So there is appreciation which cause growing your equity and value of your house. Then the second point is building equity. Building equity when you rent out the place and pay off the mortgage, pay the mortgage out of the rent income. If you get a good rental which covers all expenses and mortgages, it means you're paying off the principal of your loan. It's like a pig bank. Okay, you investing a property which can generate an income. That income pays for the mortgage, and that part of that mortgage is a principal. For example, if you buy a house, $200,000 worth house, and put down 20% down payment, 40,000 down payment, and rent it to $1,700 a month, every year you're gonna pay about 10K from that principal. And if there is like a 5% average appreciation every year, in 5 years, okay, in 5 years you earn 5% every year, which is 10K every year. After 5 years, which is here, hide it under my video, so it's 50K on appreciation. Your home value increased for 50K, and your rent income, because you're paying 10K from the principal, is 10K every year, is 50K for principal. So it means after 5 years you made 50K from appreciation and 50K from paying off the loan, which is $100,000. You made $40,000 investment at the beginning, and after 5 years you have $100,000 equity added to that 40,000. It means you have $140,000 equity which you can use it to buy the second house or reinvest on another rental property. How to determine a rental opportunity? When you see a house and you think it's a good rental, or somebody call you and say, hey, I found a house, it can be a good investment, blah blah blah. So you need to somehow make some numbers, then determine the numbers, see if it's a good opportunity or not. The first question should be this: how much can the house be rented? What's the minimum or maximum rent that you can collect from that house if you rent it? How you can get that number? In my opinion, the best is just walk around the neighborhood, find the house which close to that in a condition and like number of bedroom and bathroom, and see how much it's rented, if it's a rental. If you see like a for rent sign in a yard, just call them, see how much they are asking for the rent, to find out a number and see how much you can collect as a rent for that particular house, minimum and maximum. Find that range. Another way that you can get that number, look at website, look at the internet through their rent meter or Zillow. There are a couple other websites, you can Google them and find, see what's the estimate, rent estimate on that property. Also, you can call an agent or ask your agent, your realtor, see how much they can, what's their opinion about the rent amount of that house. Second question that you have to ask is, okay, how much I'm gonna invest on that property? It includes purchasing the property and repairs which needs to make it rent ready, and future expenses. You have to think like forward and like think proactive. See, for example, in next 2-3 years, next 5 years, is it gonna be a big expenses like roof replacement, window replacement, or HVAC replacements, such a things or not? So you need to get a number, a base number of minimum investment that you're gonna do on that property. So you have to consider the condition of the roof and mechanical. If roof is above 10 years old, I usually consider some extra. If the mechanical are less than is above 5 years old, again, probably you need to spend some money down the road on mechanical. Then you need to have a contractor. If you don't have experience, hire a contractor to work with you on the property and see how much repairs would cost to make the house rent ready, and make a budget for that. If the roof is above 10 years, add the 10K to it. If the mechanical is older than 5 years, add another 5K to it. Then consider all these repair costs plus original purchase price. It is your original investment that you're gonna do. So it's a purchase price plus repair budget. So if your monthly rent divided to this number is above 0.8, that potentially can be a good rental. So to answer this question, you need to find out the minimum and maximum the rent that you can collect and how much you need to spend and invest. If you divide monthly rent to the original investment and the number is above 0.8%, that potentially can be a good rental. Still, you need to consider location and other parameters, but that gives you the first answer. Yes, that can be a good rental. Okay, let's talk about few indexes which are important on real estate investment. The first one is capital rate or cap rate. Cap rate is simple. Is it annual rent income divided by original purchase price? It gives you cap rate. Good cap rate for Louisville area, if you want to consider it as good investment, it's above 8%. So if the total net rent divided by purchase price is more than 8%, you're doing good on that investment. The second one is a vacancy rate. Over years, if you hold the property for 5 years, sometimes, most of the time, your tenant's going to move out and you need to put a new tenant in it. So there is a gap between them, and your property is going to stay vacant, and you're going to lose money on that vacancy, which we call it vacancy rate. We consider 7% of vacancy rate. Then there is a maintenance management fee. If you manage it, either you manage it yourself or hire a property manager, probably you paying about, if you hire a management, probably they're going to charge you between 8 to 12%, depends on the rent. But if you manage it yourself, you're spending time and some money on that. So it's cost. We consider it 7% at the minimum when we are determining a property to see if there is a good investment or not. So that 7% is management fee. We consider 7% maintenance fee, 7% of the rent. If a house rented for like $2,000, so we're considering about like $140 every month as a maintenance. It can be happen in just one plumbing service call, or happen in one like a bigger, I don't know, something big happens and you spend the whole budget for 1 year in one service call. Anyway, it's like 7% in average is a maintenance cost. After that is a property tax and insurance premium. So when you want to calculate, see, okay, what's the minimum rent for that particular house? When you purchase a house, you want to see, okay, how much should I rent this place to make some money? So here is the equation. We need, first of all, we need to calculate our monthly expenses. Monthly rental expenses is property tax divided by 12, which brings it monthly. Insurance premium divided by 12 if you pay annually, which usually you pay, and 21% of the rent. That 21% came from these three. We added these three expenses and that 21% of the rent. Then you have a mortgage payment. So if you rent, it's more than mortgage plus monthly expenses altogether, then that's a good rental. So on the other hand, that number, mortgage plus monthly expenses, is the minimum amount that you have to get for the rent to consider that property as a good rental. Okay, let's put some real numbers together and see how we can calculate the rent, the minimum rent for a subject house. Here is a formula. Just imagine we bought a house for $200,000. There is no repair, the roof is good, mechanical is good. It's a turnkey house, $200,000 paid. The property tax, it's about $1,750. Insurance premium is $1,350 a year. These are annual. The mortgage payment of this house, if you put 20% down, get a rate of 8% for 30 years fixed rate loan, it's probably is about $1,175. It can be different, but in my example, its mortgage is $1,175 with 20% down payment. So monthly expenses would be $146 is a monthly tax, $112 monthly insurance, plus 21% of rent. We don't know what's the rent. We want to find out, okay, what's the minimum rent is. How much we should rent this place to make some money. Okay, if the rent is more than $1,175 mortgage payment and tax and insurance and 21% of the rent, then if we solve that equation, the rent comes greater than 1501. So it means on this house, if you bought a house $200,000, no extra repairs, that's a tax, insurance. If you rented more than $1,500 a month, it's a good investment. You're making some money out of it. Usually in Louisville area, this house, if it is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, probably you can get $1,600, $1,700 a month for that house. still it depends on the condition, but generally speaking, if you rent that house more than $1,500 a month, it's a good investment. Let's see in Louisville what is the better rental property, what's the best rental property. If it is single family, I prefer it at least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 full baths. There is the highest demand for rental property with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths and above, like 4 bedroom, 2 baths, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 4 bedrooms, like 3 baths. This is the highest demand for that. But these houses usually they are expensive. They are their highest demand for purchasing as well. So if you find a house with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, potentially it can be a good rental if you can buy it less than certain purchase price. And I'm going to talk about that limit. So the reliable rent range in single family is about $1,300 to $2,000. If there is less than $1,300 rent for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house, it's probably is located in a not good area, or the condition of the house is not good, or it's not rented well. And on top of that, if the renter pays less than $1,300, they don't have reliable job. They're high chance to lose their job or move out from your property. And again, above $2,000, whoever can pay over $2,000 as a rent, they usually have a good job, they are settled down, and they're probably thinking to buy a house. And when they bought a house and move out from your house, you're gonna stay vacant, your house gonna stay vacant, and you're gonna lose a big rent. If your house rent is $2,000 and stays vacant for 2 months, you're losing $4,000, which is huge. So you're getting better tenants, but the vacancy cost increase, which is not good. So based on these 2 facts, the best rental property in Louisville area is 3 bedroom, 2 baths, which you can buy it less than $220,000. That $220,000 comes based on that rent range. If you followed our formula for how to determine a good rentals, that numbers comes when the rent to the purchase is above 0.8%, you get that number. If it is multifamily, if you're thinking to buy a multifamily rental, then multifamily is good in certain areas. It's not good like everywhere. So you have to be careful where are you buying that property. In my opinion, Highland around UofL, good areas in downtown, some part of J-Town, there are like small areas which is good for multifamilies. A multifamily, there are highest demand for 1 bed, 1 bath if the price range is between $750 and $950. And for 2 bedroom, 1 bath, if it is between $850 and $1,100. And just consider on multifamily, you as an owner is gonna pay for water, trash pickup, landscaping. So that rent it's kinda be on the limit. So pretty much a multifamily in good areas, because the cap rate is not good, because the purchase price would be high. In Highland, the housing price is high. They're expensive. There's a high demand for housing on Highland. People loves to live there. So houses are expensive. Then you are not getting good cap rate there. But you get higher demand and your vacancy rate decrease. You can rent a good places, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in just like 1 day, 2 days. So here is my recipe, how I'm building my equity, what I'm doing. what I do, I save money for down payment. That's what I did since 2018, 2019. I saved some money to put a down payment and buy my first rental. Then I find a single family house with a good capital rate greater than 8%, and I bought that one. The loan that I got was 20 years loan with amortization of 3 years. You can do 5 years. Why 3 or 5 years? Because it was my plan to build some equity in 3 years, then refinance that first rental and buy the second rental. So I purchased the first property and maintained the house, rented out to a good tenant, maintained the tenants and the property and hold it for 3 years. Then I refinanced that property and bought my second house, my second rental. So on year and in 3 years I had 2 rental properties. And if I use the same recipe after 6 years, I can double these 2 properties and make it 4. Okay, so that's how I did, and I used the appreciation which hit on pandemic time. I was lucky, so my value of my properties gone up, and I in like a year 6, instead of buying 2 properties, I could buy 3 properties. So that's, you can, like, that cycle, you can do it over and over every 3 or 5 years. Then after like 10-15 years, you have couple options. You can refinance the whole portfolio with a fixed rate loan, or sell the whole portfolio and invest your money, your equity, in some other investment, or start over new investment, or enjoy your equity, whatever. So if you keep doing this recipe for 10-15 years, after 10-15 years, with starting with a small amount of money, I started with like, I think 30,000, something like 30,000. With 30,000 in 10-15 years, you can have like 8 to 10 properties which worth about 200 each. If you have 10 houses, 200 each is $2 million asset value. You might have a loan, like 80% of that is loan, but still you have a big equity because you're collecting rent and the rent's paying off the mortgage. So your $30,000 at the beginning turned to a big like equity and the bigger asset value in whole portfolio. So that's what I'm doing in Louisville area. I offer a package. If you are interested, all these information, they are freely in internet. You can Google them and find them. You don't need to buy this package, but if you wanna, I put all package together and I can offer that package for $79. Is application form, is included application form, Kentucky Landlord Act, potential tenant screening questionnaire, which customized for Louisville, rental agreement template, step-by-step mentorship to your first rental for 1 year, lead-based booklet, which you need to provide to your tenant if the house is over it's built before 1978. I made a lease checklist. When you are screening a tenant and want to lease and rent out your property, there is a checklist. You need to make sure you did all those steps. Then there is a move in and move out checklist. If you want to purchase that package, scan that QR code or go through that link. I would be happy to help. Even if you don't want to buy the package, call me or email me if you have any questions. I would be more than happy to help. Have a good investment.